So for this video, we're going to be kind of putting it all together. I'm going to talk about the big concepts that we've learned so far this year, and all of these concepts are going to be on your test. So we started off with vertical angles and linear pairs. So in this problem, you're given a diagram, and you're asked to find x, y, and the measure of angle BEC. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, y is going to be the easiest one to find, because it creates a linear pair with my given 72-degree angle. That means to find y, I just have to do 180 minus 72, and that gives me 108. So y has to be 108. Now I got to figure out how to find x. So I look and I think, okay, what relationship do I know? And I immediately see this. I have a vertical angle of 72 degrees with the expression that has x with it. So that means that 2x plus 30 has to be equal to 72. Now I just use algebra to solve it. I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. That gives me 2x equals 42. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 21. And the last thing that they want me to figure out is the measure of angle BEC. That's this one. I don't have to do any calculations because it's vertical to the value of y. That means that the measure of angle BEC has to be 108 degrees. The next thing we talked about were parallel lines and transversals. So let's do a little memory check on what our terms are. Alternate interior angles are angles like 4 and 6. They're on the inside of the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. Alternate interior angles are always congruent. Alternate exterior angles are on the outside of the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal, like 1 and 7. Alternate exterior angles are always congruent as well. Same side exterior angles, they're on the outside of the parallel lines, but they are on the same side of the transversal, so 2 and 7. They are always supplementary. You can tell that because generally one is going to be an acute angle and the other is going to be an obtuse angle. So that's a really easy way to remember that they are supplementary. Same thing with same side interior angles like 4 and 5. They are also supplementary. So let's use that information to solve. So here we have our parallel lines. We know that L is parallel to M and T is our transversal. Given that the measure of angle 1 is equal to 110 degrees and the measure of angle 8 is equal to 6x plus 10 degrees, solve for x. So I'm going to write this on here. I've got measure of angle 1 is 110 degrees and 8 is 6x plus 10. I got to figure out how to solve for x. So the first question I ask myself is, what's the relationship? Are they supplementary or are they congruent? These are same side exterior angles, and if we have same side exterior angles, we know that they have to be supplementary. That means that I need to add these together and set them equal to 180. So I'm going to have 6x plus 10 plus 110 has to equal 180. Now it's time to use those algebra skills. So I'm going to combine my like terms on the side of the equal sign. I get 6x plus 120 equals 180. Subtract 120 from both sides. Those cancel out. I'm left with 6x equals 60. Divide both sides by 6. I'm left with x equals 10. And I'm done. X equals 10. And finally, the last bit that we've talked about, which we only did Friday, was congruence and rigid motions. So there's not really a whole lot of problems I can give you on here, but these are the main things that you need to know. You need to make sure that you know that definition from the earlier video. And that was the one that had the, no, it was the last video. So that was the definition where we said that two figures are congruent if and only if all corresponding angles are congruent and all corresponding sides are congruent. Remember that all congruent figures can be mapped onto each other by rigid motions. Recognize when a reflection takes place and what the line of reflection is, when a rotation takes place and the center of rotation, and when a translation takes place. And don't forget about those congruence statements. And that is it for this video.